In this video, we will review how to find the square root of number or how to simplify a radical sign. We're going to start with one we may already know the answer to, the square root of 16, because the process for this one will help us when we get to ones that we might not know off the top of our head. So when I think of the square root of 16, I can think of breaking this down into two numbers that multiply to make 16. So I have 4 and 4. Now I'm going to make sure that I continue to write the radical sign here and that I note that this is still a multiplication sentence. So the square root of 4 is 2 and the square root of this 4 is also 2. So when I get down here, I just have 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 equals 4. So the square root of 16 equals 4. And I can always check that and just say, what is 4 times 4? Well, that's 16. I'm going to use that same process to look at the square root of 27. So I want to find two numbers that multiply to make 27. I know that 9 times 3 is 27. And again, I'm continuing to bring over the radical sign here because this is the square root of 27. So the square root of 9 and the square root of 3. And I'm making sure that I write that it is a multiplication sentence here. So the square root of 9, the same two numbers that multiply to 9 are 3. And then for this square root of 3, I don't know what the square root of 3 is. It's not a perfect square. And the only other factors that I can write for 3, the only other way to break it down, is 3 times 1. So that really won't help us simplify it anymore. So I can just bring it down as the square root of 3. So the square root of 27 is equal to 3 times the square root of 3. Go ahead and try this problem on your own. The square root of 32. So you should get something that looks like this. The square root of 32 is equal to 4 times the square root of 2. Now, there are many different ways that we can solve this problem, and it really depends on the factor pairs that you choose at the beginning. If you choose a factor pair that already has the largest perfect square, you're going to have less steps. But even if you choose one that does not have the largest perfect square, you can still get to the right answer. It'll just take more time. So whatever you know to start with, whatever factor pair you come up with, go ahead and start. You will get to the right answer. Now, when you have a problem that looks like this and there are variables involved, you need to think about your exponent rule knowledge. The process here is still very much the same. X squared, I know, is going to be x times x. Well, here, when I have two values that are the same, just like we had here with square root of 4 times square root of 4, when I have two square roots that are the same, that is just that value. Because I know that the square root is just two identical numbers multiplied together. So the square root of x times the square root of x is just x. So the square root of x squared is x. Now, how can that information help us solve when we have like the square root of x to the 5? I can write this out, 5 x's, and I know that I'm really looking for, wherever I see those groups of 2, it's going to equal one of the variables. So I have here x times x, well, that's x. X times x, that's x. And then I have this one left, so that's the square root of x. Right, because it's like this. Imagine little square roots over all of them. So wherever I have two square roots of the same number, the answer is just that number. Two square roots of the same number is just that number. This one is all by itself, so I'm just going to bring it down. Well, now I'm going to make sure I combine what I need to combine. I have x times the square root of x. What's x times x? X squared times square root of x. Go ahead and try this one.